train standing at platform 1 is the 1234 to Kidderminster, which will be hauled by Flying Scotsman. Following a Hampton Road, Ivy, Arley, Bewdley and...
I think we're going for an on-time departure here. Yeah.
Right away, Roger. Got the token Hampton load, mate.
Yes, I've seen the Hampton load.
Come on, baby.
I'm Roger Norfolk. I'm one of the volunteer drivers of the Severn Valley Railway.
Oh, yeah.
And it's my pleasure today to take this train from Bridgnorth to Kidderminster with Flying Scotsman. We're going to have a little bit of difficulty getting out of Bridgnorth because the engine's a coal engine and we're on a gradient of about 1 in 100. So I'm having a little difficulty actually getting the locomotive on the move.
Is there another half turn or not?
Cliver's the locomotive engineer who's travelling with the locomotive today, and he knows much more about the engine than I do, so he's just given me a little bit of assistance to try to get the locomotive under motion. We seem to have got ourselves stuck, and the remedy in this situation is to ease the locomotive back.
Gone back. Gone back, yep. Oh, yeah.
To set the valves and the pistons in a slightly different position in order to get the locomotive underway.
Oh, try now.
Try again?
Yeah, we'll catch you again. Come on, baby.
A locomotive like this is more built for speed rather than slogging up and starting away on a 1 in 100 gradient. But we're away. There's a lot of steam coming out the front of the locomotive. When the engine's been standing for some time, water tends to collect in the cylinders and you need to blow that out. Pistons and water don't really mix, and you can do a lot of damage if you have water in the cylinders and the pistons then can't compress the water.
I'm Ryan Green, I'm Roger's fireman for the trip.
Can't see the section signal, Roger. I can't see the section signal. Well, we'll shut those in a minute.
As well as managing the boiler and the steam pressure, I've also got to keep an eye out for the signals along the line, as sometimes they might be obstructed by steam or trees.
Green, thank you.
Noel Hartley's from the National Railway Museum in York.
Cheers, mate.
He's with us today to make sure we look after the engine. Noel's the driver himself, and he knows the machine backwards.
That looks fun and exciting.
So now we're on our way down the valley of the River Severn through some pretty stations all the way as far as Bewdley, and then the railway turns towards Kidderminster, a town not too far from Birmingham, and a total run from Bridgnorth to Kidderminster of about 16 miles.
brass handles I'm adjusting are the injectors for the steam engine. They take water out of the tender and put it into the boiler. There are 2 injectors on a steam engine. This is so you can get more water into the boiler quicker.
Crossing clear, Roger.
It's a little like having 2 taps to feed a bath. This is quite an exciting day for myself and Roger. This is the first time we've been at the controls of Flying Scotsman. I'm hosing down the footplate because the footplate's quite a dirty working environment and you get quite a lot of the coal that's on the floor.
Ready?
Noel's just taken over on the hose to wet down the coal in the tender. This reduces the amount of dust coming down into the footplate later on.
I've just sounded the whistle because we've passed an SW board. SW stands for sound warning or sound whistle. So they're usually placed in front of crossings, or in this case, it's placed in front of the platform at Erdington, which is a little bit unsighted around the curve.
All clear, Roger. All clear.
We also blow whistles entering tunnels and leaving tunnels, and generally whenever we see people on or about the track. Either of us can blow the whistle. The fireman in this case has blown because he's seen people on the platform as we pass through Erdington.
Along the 16-mile journey, we'll be using around a tonne of coal and the engine will be drinking about 1,000 gallons of water. I'm shoveling the coal to keep the pressure up in the boiler and maintain the water level. This is so that the power is available when Roger wants to use it. The firebox is quite wide on Flying Scotsman. We have to keep the fire thicker at the back and towards the sides and thinner in the middle and towards the front. That's the most efficient way of getting the most out of the fire.
It's a large locomotive. It's a 3-cylinder engine, 96 tonnes or so. Boiler pressure working up to 220 pounds per square inch. So it's quite a big beast. It's a locomotive that's built for speed. We know in its day she did 100 miles per hour, and these days she's limited to 75 on the main lines. But here we have to keep it to 25 miles per hour. So sometimes it's a little difficult to keep under control because she just wants to go. She's a good old girl. She was built in 1923. She's done a few miles. She's held a few records. Yes, of all the A3s that were produced, she's probably the one that needed to be preserved.
Crossing's clear, Roger.
I've got two controls here to make the train go. The regulator is the one I'm holding now, which is the valve that emits steam from the boiler to the cylinders, and now I'm on the reverser, which cuts off the steam at a certain point in the valve's travel. And there's a balancing act between the two to try to maintain the momentum of the train. And how much of each you need is very much driver's intuition, or his instinct, and he goes by the sound of the locomotive as well.
Crossing clear, yellow distance.
Crossing clear. Yeah, I think that's respond, I think.
Signals are like traffic lights. Some are advanced warnings and some of them are definite stops. The knack is knowing where they are and where to be looking out for them. There's definitely something about a steam engine as you're going past crowds of people, because they always wave at you no matter what you're on. But the amount of crowds with Flying Scotsman, the amount of people that wave at you is crazy. Every time I looked out the window there was someone waving. It's just a fantastic feeling to know that everyone's come out to see us go through, and by getting the fireman or the driver to wave back has just made their day that little bit better.
Checking my timetable here, because I don't want to be arriving too early.
Come on, baby.
We're on a single line, and the next station, Hampton Road, has a passing loop where I'm very much hoping that the northbound train has already arrived, as we're due to pass through Hampton Road non-stop.
Crossing clear, Roger.
Clear. And what's this signal?
Yes, yes. Green on the loop.
Green on the loop, lovely. That's what we want, isn't it?
Yeah, I'll do.
Green on the loop means that we have the signal into the loop at Hampton Road.
Token this end.
Yes. Hey? Yeah, wonderful. Cheers, Nom.
We're just preparing now to give up the token that's brought us from Bridge North, and it needs to be surrendered to the signalman. No other train can be on the line as long as you've got that token. That is our security, that we are the only train on that single line at that time. As we approached the station, I brought the speed down to 10 miles per hour because that's our standard station limits speed.
No, doing it, yeah. All fine.
And you can see the signalman in his high visibility jacket standing ready to receive our token, but also then to give us the next token for the advanced section down to Highley.
Green at the end, Roger. Green at the end. Anything? Highly, thank you. Thank you.
And now I'm looking for the signal at the end of the platform to make sure that the signalman has cleared the signal for us to proceed down the single line to Highley.
The last coach has left the loop at Hampton Load, and now we can accelerate up to line speed.
All right, we're all clear at the back, Roger.
Get the back, thank you. We got the loop then. Come on your side.
Yeah, clear.
I think so. Watch out for the home signal. And the token this end. Green, thank you.
Yeah, just there on the ground, man.
down the ground down there.
Yeah, I got it. Can't do it. Highly Harley.
It's got a ring to it, though.
Got a green, mate.
Go green, yep.
Having just gone over the top of Hiley Bank, the fire needs some attention now, just to build the fire back up. If we're accelerating and going up a hill, I'll need to put more coal on to create more pressure. If we're going downhill and braking, I'll want to be putting more water into the boiler, but making sure that the fire's not too hot to make too much steam. The communication's key between the fireman and the driver. Roger's always keeping an eye on what I'm doing, and he has to have confidence that I'm able to create the right amount of steam for what he wants if I've got enough fire there. The more efficient Roger drives, the more efficient my firing will be. It's all a balancing act between driving and firing.
Crossing's clear. High vis your side, mate.
High vis my side. Whistle. Yeah, I got him.
Crossing's clear. Radio. Might get noisy. Footplate, Roger.
Oh, yeah.
We're now just looking at the water level in the boiler, which is a little bit higher than I anticipated it would be at this point. So just going to turn off the injector which feeds the water into the boiler.
Let it go.
Unfortunately, you're going to have to vent some steam out the safety valves.
Ryan's overcooked the fire a little bit here. He's put a little bit too much coal on. Perhaps I haven't used enough steam that he thought I was going to use. And the safety valve blows at 220 pounds per square inch on this locomotive, and we've just got a little bit more than that. So it's blowing the steam off to atmosphere.
Being a fireman, you take pride in doing the job well, but sometimes it doesn't always go to plan. Having something like the safety valves lift is a little bit embarrassing, but it's one of those things that happens from time to time, especially on an engine that you're not massively familiar with.
Got a green. Sorry, no. No, man.
Noel and myself have noticed that the shape of the fire isn't quite right. I've put too much in the middle of the firebox,
Wants the sides a bit more than
Yeah.
we've got a lot in the middle.
Yeah.
which is probably one of the reasons why it vented steam out the safety valves on the approach to Arley.
Your side, Roger.
My side.
Yeah, they're clear.
load of people around here yesterday.
We are approaching a level crossing here, and I'm slightly misjudging the approach.
Too soon. I'll do this bit right tomorrow.
There's a slight uphill gradient towards it, so I've had to open the regulator a little bit just to keep the train moving up to the level crossing.
Watch out for the light. Yep.
White light.
Got it? Yep.
This is Northwood Halt, one of the request stops on the line, which we won't be stopping at today on our non-stop run. The white light there tells me that the lights on the road crossing are working and stopping the traffic. We've just slowed down for the road crossing, and then we will accelerate back up to line speed once we're across.
Yellow.
Yellow? Oh, all right.
The yellow signal is an advance warning that the signals outside Bewdley may be at danger.
Crossing clear.
Nothing clear.
So in this situation we'll have to slow down and proceed with caution to the next signal. If the next signal is at danger, we are going to have to stop at it.
Red banner.
Red. Oh dear.
Now the banner signal is an advance warning of what the stop signal is going to tell us. The trouble here is that the stop signal is around that left-hand curve ahead, and is not very good sighting distance. So at the end of this straight, we have that post with a round disc on the top. It's not actually red, but the position of the black bar in the centre is horizontal, which is telling me that the actual stop signal that's around the left-hand curve is going to be in the red or stop position, and I'm going to have to stop at it.
Too soon. Yeah. Wait for it to begin.
Red.
Yeah, red.
So now the actual signal has come into view and it is still red. So we're going to have to stop, and I'll be asking Ryan to step down off the footplate, go to use a telephone, just phone up the signalman and find out what is the problem.
Still red.
Yeah. I think you'll have to go for ring in, Ryan. Alpha 16.
Alpha 16.
Alpha 16, yeah.
Green. There you go, we heard you.
Okay. See the bracket yet?
Oh yeah, Roger. Green at 9.
Green, both.
Yeah, green. Crossing is clear. 28 of the Denbury as well. Yeah, mate.
We're now approaching Bewdley, and the signalman here is about to receive our token from Arley, but he hasn't got one to give us in return because we're now on double track. We're now on the up main. The track to our right is the down main, because between Bewdley North signal box and Bewdley South signal box it is authentic double track.
Crossing's clear, Roger.
This is Bewdley South signal box, and the signal is in the window. He's not giving us a token, and yet we're going to go on the single line to Kidderminster, because this is another different signalling system, a system known as tokenless block by acceptance lever. It's all done electrically.
Green section. Green.
As soon as we clear these viaducts, then we can open up the engine, set the reverser for a good run up the 1 in 100 bank. We'll let the engine stretch her legs a little bit.
Just building up the fire to go up the gradient towards Bewdley Tunnel, which is one of the longer climbs on the line. The gradient is 1 in 100 in places, which may not seem a lot, but I do end up having to work the engine a little bit harder than we have done the rest of the journey.
And this is Bewdley Tunnel, 480 yards long, the only proper tunnel on the line. Still on an upward gradient of 1 in 100, slightly curved and now into the straight with the exit coming into view.
I think that's red, yep. That's red.
In my braking coming along, I've noticed that it hasn't been particularly smooth. At least one of the carriages in the train behind is braking a bit harder than the others and causing us a bit of a jolt.
There's a coach back there somewhere grabbing the brake, isn't there?
So perhaps it needs to be looked at later.
Green on the main.
On the main, thank you. A bit more.
Stop on the mark and then,
Yeah. Well, we've got the bus driver for.
yeah.
I need the easing up first. Go red.
All at red, mate. Still all red, Roger.
Yeah. See what's happening.
Should I give him a minute or just go straight down? Go straight down, right. Getting on.
Platform 1 is kept free for us. So what's the problem?
Has it been waiting till the other trains departed before letting this one in normally? So there's no crowd issue on the platform.
Oh, it's crowded, sure, is it? I see.
Alright, I'll just bring it.
Yeah, he's on his way out now.
A lot then, just before he gets to the front.
12:32. Well, he's a few minutes late. He should be 13:30. It's now 13:35.
Hello, this is the Fireman 60103 here, just outside of the gantry. Wonderful, thank you very much. Bye bye. Hiya!
Got it.
Well, I've got a green.
Green, thanks.
Green on one, mate. Not too horrific.
No, nothing like that. There it goes.
Now that we're arriving in Kidderminster, I just feel extremely proud to have fired this fantastic engine along 16 miles of beautiful countryside. Didn't go perfectly, but it went well. To actually be firing Flying Scotsman is just something you're never really going to forget. To actually be shoveling the coal into the heart of it and making the steam to make it move, Fireman, a Flying Scotsman, it's a dream come true, really.
On platform number 1, just stand back away from the edge, please. Just stand well back from the edge of the platform, please. Thank you.
I enjoy being in charge of a train. It's the teamwork involved, it's the responsibility involved, and it's doing a job to the best of your ability. And the job is done.
This is a passenger announcement. Can I ask all passengers on the platform to not to stand on the benches, please? Do not stand on the benches, please, on the platform. Thank you.